So this video is going to show you how to use Excel, alright, to create a report sheet with a table and graph with the control options for a user to select the data. So first we look at how to create a report sheet. Okay. So we're going to have the sheet. We're going to rename it to report, right? So now we need to put a graph and the data. We need a data sheet, which is the second item here. We need a data sheet with the data, right? So we can add the sheet and put the data, right? So last video I showed you how to do the exercise using the multiplication table, right? So you know some basic manipulation with Excel, right? So now let's think about, we're going to create a report sheet out of the data. So first we need to gather the data, right? How do we find the data? We can just go online, okay, and get the data. So I'm going to look for, let's see, something about wearable technology, right? Sometimes if you do XLSX, XLS is a file abbreviation for Excels, which is the older Excel is before 97. XLSX is extension of the new one after Microsoft Office 97. And when I do XLSX or XLS, normally you get some Excel spreadsheet, so that, and hopefully that has some data that we can use, right? So this is some, you see where I Google that, I get the Excel spreadsheet with the data, some data I can use. So first we need to clean up the data in the format that we can plot. This format we cannot plot the chart. So we said we're going to interested to see how many country in the pie chart based on percentage that produce the wearable devices. So we're going to filter by this columns. So I'm going to add the filter. And I'm not interested to get a blanks one. If you do, we can say others and leave it blanks too. So let's leave the blank as other then. I'm going to do that then. So that means I don't need to filter anything out if I want to include the blanks. Okay. Now I need to count how many of USA, how many of the EU, and so on, and how many blanks. So I'm going to put, for example, USA right here. And this is actually where the filter is going to come and very useful here too. Like you can list all the country here, right? And type them here on the new table. Like you have a US. You could type one by one, but it's going to take time. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to copy this column, put into a new sheet, paste this, and go to the data and remove the duplicates. So now I get a unique, it's about 23 different, right? Unique data here. Alright, so you could leave it on this, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to sort this by alphabetically order first. I don't need a title. So I'm going to include a blank one, right? So about 22 regions, including the blank as other. But I'm going to leave it as blank for now. And you can actually leave it on this sheet because you can link between the sheets. Okay. Right now, I'm going to show you by putting the same sheet first. All right. We can start to use count if now, right? So let's say if I use count if range. Now I only have one criteria, which is the country. So I don't need to if s. If s is set of criteria. Like you have the by region and you have by greater than or equals to 50 orders, right? Now I just range. This is the range that I want to count, which is I'm going to highlight all the range. Let's just see if it's going to take the whole column. And comma. Criteria is pretty much just your abbreviation of the country name. Okay, so we have, and then we can start to scroll down. That's the basic things that we learned, right? So USA pretty much has 58. And I have to keep scrolling down for the blank too, right? It's not picking up the blank. We're going to verify the data. We're going to verify if this formula is correct by just select just AUS and see if we have just 2. Voila. So it looks like it is correct, right? You can do again with the CAN, the Canadian, right, region. It should be 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is correct then. So we just clean up the data. Like I said, normally you don't have to put in the same sheet. Let me show you, because it's not nice to have the data. This should be your data sheet, right? And this should be your like report sheet, right? So you should separate them. Okay. I just try to show you here because then you can see side by side. Now I'm not interested to leave it there, delete it, and come back to report sheet. I'm going to put the column name. So this is country, right? And this is count, right? And we can start to write a formula here, right? Equals to count if this is only one criteria. So just use count if. If you have more than one, just count if s. Go to the data. And this is the region that we want, right? You see that when you link between the sheet, it's going to add a sheet name, which is data sheet, into the formula. And the column, which is I, that's I column, because I select by whole column. Comma, criteria should switch back to report. And criteria is the report sheet, cell A2. Enter. Let's count as 2. Now let me just scroll down here. What it's going to do is going to copy and count all the countries. If you look at the formula, it's just switching by A3, A4. That's how it's just changing the criteria for you. Now we can add the style to the report. Okay, add the style. So we're gonna make the styles. Just pick a style that you like. Okay, bold that. Now we can pretty much just insert the graph. So we're gonna highlight a table and do insert, and we're gonna insert pie chart, and this looks better than before, right? And there are many type of pie chart. Okay, so just select one. So let me do again, insert. You can do 3D, right? You can do donuts chart, right? And then you want to put, if you want to put a percentage, right? So this is the color coded by the country, right? And you may see that USA pretty much the country that produced the most wearable devices so far, right? comparing to the rest according to the data we found. And we can rename the title. So this is produced by country, right? Let's say combination. The number of wearable device combined by country. Now we can start to pick. Then we see percentages here, right? We have several templates that you can use and make it look nice and easy to read. It's just overlapping each other. Then you may just want to have it on its own sheet. Okay, like if I want to insert the chart again, and I can just normally they have an option that you can put a new sheet. Then we can just pretty much just enlarging it. What I'm going to do, I'm going to cut and put a new sheet by itself. Right. Then it's easier to read with a number now, right? Okay. But for this time, I'm going to put in the same sheet for your assignment. Then we can see the data table and the explanation of your chart just like that in the same format. So what we're going to do, we have to change this into, instead of vertically, we want to do diagonally, right? Horizontally, I'm sorry, horizontally in this table format. Then we have spaces for the chart on the top. So how we do that? So we can use Excel's tool again. So now we're going to make room for the chart on the top, right? And we want to put a table at the bottom. So we can copy this and we're going to make it as the, instead of vertically to horizontally table, right click, and when you paste you can do transport like that, right? So that's how we change the directions. Now of course the formula we have to verify again. So data range, yeah, report. See, data is 35. Let's look at the data sheet again. It's a column 35. Well, it's trying to do the data as, because it's automatic change to from column to rows at the same time, which we have to fix that because that's still staying the same, which is our column is I. Okay, so we get the data back correctly and just drag that. It doesn't stay, so we have to make sure it stays by putting the dollar signs in front, right? We learned the basic from the previous videos. Now it stays. Alright, so we pretty much just have the data ready. We change it into the horizontal view. So I just try to collapsing the cells by clicking on the top left